Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the Owner's Box. I'm Billy Koch, founder and managing partner of the Little Red Feather Racing Club. Joining me, as always, the great, the talented, the beautiful, the voluptuous Michelle Yu.
I like it. I'm not very voluptuous today. I just have my little red feather shirt on.
That's a great shirt. That's an all-time classic.
And I
All-time
just want to mention that it's not like it's old and dirty. It was made to
No,
look
that's
this
the
way.
look. That's the look and feel.
Yes,
That's
vintage, right?
very comfy shirt. I have my Ken Sushi shirt on.
Oh, I like that. Are we gonna go
Yeah,
to Ken's this year?
we are good. Does a one-legged duck
You
swim
went
in a
100
circle?
times last year and didn't take me once.
All right. I will make sure I take you. But we have a very special guest today. His name is Bob LaPenta. Do you think it's Robert or Bob? Does he like to go by?
Well, I guess
What's
we
your
can
guess?
ask him. Ready?
Yeah, we're gonna ask him. What's your guess?
Da-da-da.
There he is.
My son is Rob. I'm Bobby.
You're Bobby.
Bobby.
You like Bobby. Like, should we call you Bobby LaPenta or Robert or Bob?
Bob.
Bob.
Just
Okay.
Bob.
I thought my whole life I've been saying
Hi,
it
how
wrong.
are you?
We're good. How are you? Where are you? You look like you're in a beautiful spot. I love the whatever's above you.
The wood.
We're at our place in Westport today.
And are you? I'm assuming you're heading to Belmont very soon. I mean, Saratoga, should I say?
Well, we're hoping that's the case.
For those of you who don't know, Mr. LaPenta, he's one of the owners of Journalism, who has skyrocketed up the charts of great 3-year-olds. I know this is so excited, but before we get into that, Bob, tell us a little bit about your history in the game. You've been in this game for a while. You've had so much success. How did it all get started?
Well, I started long before I'm willing to admit, but I started in a partnership with Rick Pitino.
Really?
He's the coach of St. John's now.
Yep.
And I started with him in 2000, and we owned a couple of horses. We won a couple of races, and then I decided to go off on my own in 2001, and I picked Nick Zito as my trainer.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a good model. Initially, we'd buy yearlings, at Saratoga and Keeneland, and then they'd become 2-year-olds on January 1st, and I'd pinhook them. And it was very successful for the first couple of years until people stopped wanting to buy it from me because they said that I pinhooked the horses I didn't want. And I
makes a lot of sense.
So, we've had a lot of success there. And Cliff's Edge was a horse that I tried to.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
And, a black cat ran across the track and he didn't work well. So we ended up keeping him, and he turned out to be just a monster.
Yep.
Was the favorite in the Derby, won the Bluegrass. And then we pinhooked another one called Warpass.
And I remember him too.
Remember Warpass?
He had
sure.
a chip in his ankle. And we ended up taking him back, operating on him. And he won the Breeders' Cup.
Ended up winning the Breeders' Cup.
Yeah.
He won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. He won the Eclipse Award. And we ended up, syndicating him at Stud for – that's a lot of funny stories there. But
well, we like this. This is why we're here, Bob.
$20 million.
Wow.
And, so we try to buy well-bred, dirt horses.
Sure.
I'm not a big turf guy, but we've won a lot of turf races also.
Yeah, you have.
And so we've had some really nice horses. We've had Dialed In, who was the favorite in the Derby. We've had Icebox, who almost won the Derby.
Almost won the Derby,
Icebox?
Yeah, we've had a long run, and I always bought horses on my own. And, the world has changed. And you can't buy a horse today that's well-bred that can walk for less than $500,000. So now I'm in partnerships. But it's a great game, a family sport. I always say, I can't have my grandkids or my family over for dinner on a weekend, but if I have a race, I'll have 13, family members there. So
of course.
Talk a great ride.
Bob, talk about the change in the industry that because it definitely is a trend that people are teaming up, and you look at journalism, it's you and it's Eclipse and it's Bridalwood. Like, when did that change take place, and why do you think that change took place?
You know, I'd say it took place maybe starting back as long as 7 or 8 years ago. And big players got into the game. I mean, you had a great idea with your Red Feather Racing, right? Syndicating and getting people into the sport. You did that in what, 2002, right? So you
Yeah, we started along. I syndicated my first racehorse in '91, so I believe me when I
unbelievable.
tell you I've been in it a long time, and that's, by the way, that's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me on this show. So I appreciate
But I think it changed maybe as long as 7, 8, maybe 10 years ago. And, a lot more people came into the game, a lot more big money players. And you couldn't win, in an auction. I was turned down in some auctions, 10 times.
that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I said, well, you know what? This isn't going to work, because if you pay $600,000-700,000 for a horse, do you know what the odds are for a horse to win a Grade 1 race?
Very low.
Like, what would you say?
I would say 0.02%.
You're good. You're good.
What
Two
is
and
it?
a half, 2.5%.
Oh,
So
okay.
if you
Wow.
so if you spend $600,000-700,000, you have a 97% chance of losing that money.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
right.
But you could have fun along the way.
well,
Maiden 20s are just as exciting.
let me tell you, racing is a great game, but there are highs that are hard to surpass,
Mhm.
and there are lows that are hard to be lower than. And
Yeah.
you lose 80% of the time, in a race. And
If you're good.
If you're good, yeah.
yeah, and I looked at yours, Billy, and you're running about, an 18-20% win percentage, and
Yep.
a good, across the board 60 percentage, but it's a very tough sport. And I often said, if you want to become a millionaire in racing, you better start with $1 billion.
That's true.
Michelle, I know you have a question.
So, Bob, when the industry started to kind of shift that focus from sole ownership to the partnerships, how did you end up with the people that you're in partnerships with now? I know you've had a standing relationship with Bridalwood.
Bridalwood, and that was Taproot, our
Mhm.
first
Yeah.
real partnership with them. And Aaron, I've known him for a long time. He's a great guy.
Mhm.
Eclipse has a great operation, much like yours.
Yeah. Thank you.
Where he does crowdfunding to syndicate his horses and that kind of thing. And Saul Kuhlman, we started with him. We knew him up in Saratoga.
Mhm.
Saul, he owns a lot of horses.
I think
And
listen,
Is that the truth?
you have a common racing manager in John Panagot, right? He
that's
also worked with
correct.
Saul.
Yeah.
So, and I think I asked him the other day, I said, how many horses do you guys have? Now, I'm not going to say the number, but do you know how many horses Matakit has or Saul has?
I do, but I don't think I could tell you.
This could be a really fun drinking game.
Yeah, it would be great. But listen, this is the way of the future. And Saul's he's made it in this game by taking 25%, 30%, whatever he
Exactly.
takes, and that's
Exactly.
that's his business plan. So
Exactly.
do you feel, though? I remember when I first started, and I felt like because we were a partnership that people frowned upon it. I thought, hey, this is the sport of kings. You need to own your own horse. Do you feel like that kind of vibe and that has changed the opinion of people in the game because of people like yourself, because of the Avengers, because of because that's all happening?
Yeah, I mean, it really has changed the whole perception of the game. And, I always wanted to have my own horse. I wanted to, after a win, I wanted to grab his reins and bring him into the winner's circle. And, you know, uh, Avengers came along. Bob Baffert asked me to join that group. the first group was very successful. I think they syndicated, went to stud for maybe $50-60 million.
Yeah.
So Bob would kid around with me and say, "Oh, you want to bring the horse in by yourself. You don't want to have all of these partners." So, but the game has changed, and while I do own, a high percentage of a lot of my horses now, I have partners on most of them.
Yeah, interesting.
What's
Bob LaPenta
what's
joining us here on the Owner's Box. Go ahead, Michelle.
what's it like, Bob, not only to have to share, say, the glory of taking them in the winner's circle, but also like the silk situation, right? Your silks are so iconic. I mean, you see
Burgundy and
the
gold.
burgundy and gold with the chevron, and you know who it is. And now sometimes your horse will run, and
that.
you're like, whose horse is that?
And that's my alma mater, Iona College.
Oh,
Mhm.
is it?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
that's the maroon and gold. And I
What
love when one of
college?
my horses
Iona.
crosses the finish
Iona.
line. They say, "Oh, and that's Bob LaPenta with his Iona alma mater colors." And Iona loves that too, because they get the press and I hope we make it to the Belmont, because he's going to have my silks in that race.
There you go. Hey, tell us. Let's go back to the Kentucky Derby. Let's talk a little journalism, and you've been there before. You were there with Dialed In. You talked about you were there with Icebox. Coming into that race again as the favorite, what were your expectations? And then obviously he ran a brilliant race. He just got beat. At least that's what I saw, and I think that's what a lot of people saw. But tell us about that day, the roller coaster of emotions.
Okay. Getting to the Derby, if you think about it, and you guys know, right? 20,000 horses are born each year, and 20 of them get to the Derby.
Right.
So you can do the math on that. I think what is that? 6 zeros and a 1, something like that.
Very small.
We've been very fortunate. We've had 10 horses make it to the Derby over the 15 years that I've been in.
That's incredible.
That's crazy.
And we've had 2 favorites. We had the Cliff's Edge, which was really my first year in racing. He was a monster, and voted the unluckiest horse of the year by Steve Haskins.
Oh my God. Steve, by the way, Steve listens to this pod. If you'd like to say anything to Steve.
We've been friends a long time. And, Steve wrote his first article about me in pinhooking. And he said, "Oh, Bob LaPenta, the unlucky pinhooker who brings the horses he keeps to the Derby."
Yeah, I'm sure really felt, people
that
really feel
that was
sorry
pretty
for you,
much
Bob.
the end of my pinhooking.
Yeah.
But, we've had a couple of favorites. We've had 4 or 5 horses finish 4th or 5th. We had 2 now finished 2nd. And, in fact, I was talking to Steve about the Derby. He was following journalism, and he goes, "How do you feel? You got the..." And I said, "Well, favorites haven't been lucky for me."
No.
But I got to tell you, this Derby was different, because journalism is a very, very special horse.
Yep.
I mean, he's very versatile, doesn't have to be on the lead. He can be on the pace. He can be in the back, and hopefully the pace is there, and he can make that one big run. So we and our whole family felt different about this race. And
you were confident.
After all of the years I've been in racing, I was praying that I'd like to check that Derby box this year.
Mm-hmm.
And, watching the race, and, watching, what's his name, come from behind and catch us at the
Sovereignty.
line. I sat there for maybe 20 minutes, and everybody came over, feeling so bad. And I didn't get over that loss for a couple of days. It really was painful, because I really thought we had the best horse, and we were going to win that race.
That's kind of an amazing thing that you say that, because it is funny in this game, because we have so much failure all the time, and especially in a big race like that it does take a little while to recover. I kind of get that. I think sometimes, and Michelle, I don't know about you, but like if I lose a race and it's close like that, maybe not be the Derby, but it's a stake or something, and we had a chance to win, I've told Michelle this on many occasions, Bob. I sit in my car for a minute just by myself, like banging on the steering wheel, like I'm like, oh. But then you have to, in this game, you have to pick yourself up and say, okay, moving on. That's done. What's done is done. And now we're going to tomorrow. And you had a chance to prove it again in the Preakness, and that must have been an incredible experience.
Well, we went to the Preakness with another big group of people, and I told them before the race, I said, look, we were all so down and so depressed after the Derby. We're not going to do that today.
Smart.
The Preakness is a big race. We wanted to win the Derby. The Preakness was on my list. I always told my son and my wife, I'm going to win him in reverse. We won a couple of Belmonts.
Yeah.
We're going to win the Preakness, and now I'm in good position to win the Derby. But, we got to that day, and I made up my mind that I was not going to have the type of, down experience that I had in the Derby.
Yeah.
And I wanted to prepare all of the people that I was with that they were not going to have that. We would, Pimlico's a great venue for that race. The people are great. The venue is great. The food is great. People come up from all over it's one of my favorite, venues, maybe even more than Saratoga, but it's a great time. And,
well, tell us what you were thinking when they were coming around the far turn and the one horse is starting to get away, and you see Journalism is full of run and he's kind of trapped. What's going through your head in that minute?
We saddled him in the paddock, and he looked good. He looked calm, and and then he got to the track and he started acting up a little bit.
Yeah.
And when the race went off, I looked at it and I said, he's not running the way that he normally runs.
Interesting.
And that ultimately, he looked lethargic.
Yeah.
And Umberto had to start riding him maybe, a 16th before the far turn.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He was, and whenever I see my jockey doing that to one of my horses, I turned the TV off.
But he had done that in previous races. He did that in the Santa Anita Derby. He did that in the race before the Derby. He kind of like
falls
idles
back before he makes this. It's almost like he slingshots himself.
Yeah, but normally he isn't riding him that early in a race. Yeah. And so when we got to the top of the stretch, I told Umberto before the race, I said, Umberto, I want you on the outside in the stretch.
Oh, God.
And he goes, yeah, boss, I know. Okay. and when he wasn't getting what he wanted out of Journalism, he was afraid to take that outside route, lose the ground. And even Jerry Bailey said, we had an option to go outside, and he may not have won the race if he did that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, the top of the stretch, now we see him coming, and there's, the announcer saying, "Oh, Journalism is starting to make a move," and he's trying to split horses, and there was a very, very small hole,
Mm-hmm.
and Flavian knew exactly what he wanted to do.
Even though they're friends.
Put his elbow right in there.
I'm sure Baffert told him, don't let Journalism by.
Yeah.
But Umberto didn't have a choice. And as soon as he stuck his head in that hole, you saw what happened.
Bumper cars.
And when I saw Journalism go sideways, I was about a second away from turning away, as was everybody in our group.
Yeah. I was standing with Michelle watching. We were like, oh my goodness. Like, whoa.
When we saw, I've watched 1,000 races. You'll never see a horse do what he did in that race, where they get knocked sideways, right? All of a sudden straighten themselves up, and they sprouted wings.
Yeah.
I mean, and,
What was that
the
like?
announcer
When you're
saying,
just like, I just got the chills, Bob, just from you saying it. Like, what was that like when he finally got in the clear? Because I know, I'm going to tell you, Michelle and I were standing next to each other, and we were like, "Oh my God, he's gonna get there!" Like, what were you
The
feeling?
split
And-
second we realized he was going to get there, it was
Yeah.
like blackout time.
Yeah.
and I prayed that he wasn't going to come in second after that, because they
went
all
right
would
to
have
praying
said,
for not
"Oh,
second."
journalism didn't get it done again.
Oh,
He
man.
can't get it done." And when he crossed that line, I'm crying myself now.
Oh, I feel like Roy Firestone.
And the announcer said, "Journalism, one in a fashion they're only going to write about."
That's right. Nice pun by Larry. Nice pun. We practiced that. I just want you to know, with Larry. We had dinner with him the night before. That's so amazing, Bob. And this is like, what's nice about this show is when people come on like yourself, that most of the horse racing world, like, we don't see you that much. I mean, we see you at at Saratoga and in New York, but they don't get a chance to really hear your story, and you telling us that and getting emotional. That, I think that's what horse racing is all about. And I just want to tell you, we appreciate you. We appreciate how much you put in the game. And what's kind of your thought on Belmont now? Now you're looking forward to. Are we running? Can you make an announcement? Because there's
No,
been
you can't. No,
Why?
Billy.
Why?
That Michael McCarthy is the only person that can tell us if he's going to run or not.
I want to hear from Bob.
Bob, don't let him peer pressure you into saying nothing. It's okay.
Well, I really can't answer that question, and it is up to our trainer, but he's been great, and he's had difficulties, with the fire in his house, and
Yeah.
so this is a great run for him. Also, I pray for him. I pray for journalism. I pray for our partners. I do a lot of praying.
You do a lot of praying.
And Bob wants you to know that if he runs in the Belmont, they're his silks, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
his shirt.
that's right. That's right.
Going on his
And,
silks. Well, when are you going?
He's training well. Is
Yeah.
all I could tell you. He looks great.
Yeah,
I'd love to see a rematch. And
Well,
we all would.
We're gonna
How
win.
important is it to you for him to run in the Belmont?
I'm sorry, what?
How important is it for you for him to run in the Belmont?
Me personally, or
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, whenever you can win a Triple Crown race, I mean, they don't come around that. I mean, they have the Dubai, World Cup and the Saudi Arabian race, but nothing will ever replace Triple Crown races. And, there's a lot of talk about moving the dates around and changing the format. It should stay exactly the way it is. It's perfect. It really is.
The challenge.
And, winning the Belmont, it'd be my third time. And I'll be as excited about that as I was my first.
Absolutely. Yeah, hey, Bob, speaking of journalism and speaking of, winning Triple Crown races, you talked a little bit before when we were talking about the Avengers about syndicating, and there's already a deal in place, I believe, with, is it Coolmore? I think it was announced. Do you participate in that? Will you stay in for some of the breeding aspects of journalism once he does retire and go to stud?
Yeah, I've done that with all my horses. I've done it with Catholic Boy, with Dialed In, with the Cliff. Unfortunately, he didn't have a good run, but I own a piece. But yeah, Coolmore came in. They're a great partner, and I guess to answer your question, it's important financially for him to win the Belmont.
Okay,
they made
That's
a deal,
good.
and as you know, there are adders along the way.
Kickers.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
kickers.
That would be a nice kicker.
That would be a good kicker.
Are we committed to breeding next year, or is there a chance we get to see him at 4?
Again, I'm not going to answer that question either.
Okay.
Well,
we hope we
let's
get
see
to see
what
him
happens. After this race, I'm guessing we'll probably give him a breather, right, and bring him to Saratoga. Maybe a prep race before the Travers, which was another one of my big checklists that I was able to.
You have a very large checklist of big races.
that was a phenomenal race. He was a great horse.
He was awesome. And he's standing stud in California now.
Yeah, exactly.
That's one of Michelle's favorite horses, by the way. She used to talk about him on
All
every
the
show. Do you
time.
remember that?
Really?
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
he
Michelle
was-
loved Catholic
When
Boy.
he was on track for the Breeders' Cup, I saw him and I literally ran out. He didn't have his towel on yet. And I ran after him to the barn and I told Jonathan, that is the most beautiful horse I have ever seen. And I have been a fan of him since.
He was a beauty. And, you know, I named him because, you know, I raised him by Iona Colors. It's a Catholic school. And his dam was Song of Bernadette.
Oh,
there you
Catholic
go.
boy.
I
There you
love
go.
it.
Do you name all your horses?
Pretty much. I
You-
did not name journalism.
Journalism is a very Aaron Wellman name, if I
Well,
had to
you
guess.
know, there's a lot of controversy about how that name came about. But,
Oh,
you
is
know,
there?
one
I don't
of them
think
is,
Bob's gonna go
you know,
there.
Nepotism, the ISM.
Yes.
And then one of our partners was a journalist, and that's why they put
Oh.
journal. And there's, but there are people that say, no, that really didn't happen. Who knows?
I like
don't
that.
know.
I like that story. I'm going with it though. That's a good story to have.
We have taken up a lot of your time. I have one quick question, Michelle, and if you have any more. But what about some 2-year-olds that are coming up? Any good 2-year-olds that we can look out for this summer that you're excited about at Saratoga?
Well, you know, we're getting great reviews for some of them at a farm.
Okay.
And one of them is going to start racing in about maybe 2 weeks.
Ooh.
And we've just put a name on him, and it's called. He's called. Let's see. He's called. Not Vindication. Hold on.
Okay, get your list. No, we're not going anywhere. We don't mind. Go to your list. Listen, a lot of people watch the show. We give up great gambling tips. Is this a first timer that can win?
I think so. And
Oh,
let me
Hold on,
look
he's
at
looking
this.
at his
Hold
list.
on.
he's looking at his list.
Who
We've never-
trained?
Brad
Let's-
Cox.
Brad
Okay.
Cox. Okay.
Yeah. His name is Exonerate.
Oh, what a great name.
Good name.
Well, it really fits well because his father is Justified.
Ah,
There you go. Beautiful.
good name. Good name.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
That's a name I can get behind.
Yeah. All right,
love
Bob. Listen.
Wait, I have one
Go,
final
yeah.
question. Belmont weekend in Saratoga. Where are you eating dinner?
You know, if we have time to eat dinner, because, you know, I've got our plane there and we've got to get back to Westchester before 12 o'clock.
Okay.
So we're either going to eat at, is it Soleil?
Soleil?
Salevo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, or Novas.
Nova.
Oh,
yeah,
I
that's
love
good.
Novas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're both good.
Two good
If
spots.
you do win, and I'm knocking on wood that you win, or that would you take the trophy with you to dinner, like the Stanley Cup?
They don't give it to you.
You know, they don't give,
Trophy.
Who was talking in the background? Bring her on.
they don't, you
No,
know, they
she
give
said
you,
no.
I just had to pay $30,000 for
For the
Oh, for the
Preakness.
copy of the Woodlawn vase?
yeah.
Unbelievable. That's amazing. That's amazing. Bob LaPenta, you are a gem in our industry. We appreciate you. We wish you all the success and
Thanks so
good
much.
luck. Good luck in a less than a week. No, a week and 3 days.
Week
for,
and 3 days.
if we-
You
if
know,
we
the
get
draw
there.
I think comes on Monday. And again, I'm not saying
We don't know
anything.
yet. Right, we don't know yet. No,
We'll see.
you didn't say anything. We're
I'd
all
love to see
crossing our fingers.
I'd love to see my colors winning that race again.
There you go. All right, Bob. Thank you so much, my
Take
friend.
care.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Bob.
Thanks for everything.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Bob. Bob LaPenta
Bob
here.
LaPenta. How awesome
He's
is
great.
that?
By the way, like I've met Bob before, but like casually. A couple things that struck me. First of all, he did his research on me.
I
which I
know,
thought was
right?
interesting. Number two, like, I don't know how to say this I don't want this to be perceived as a negative, but like
He's so spry.
he was very sweet. Like he was very
Yeah.
kind of sweet. And like, just, you could tell, I mean, he cried telling the story of the Preakness. Like, I think sometimes, and again, that's what I said when we were doing the interview, is that a lot of people come on the show, that people don't really know. They just
Mhm.
see Bob LaPenta and they think maybe, and I'm just throwing this out there, oh, he's got loads of money and he's got his own plane and blah, 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 blah. But these guys still care, and they care about their horses, and they care about this game and what's going on. I think that's really valuable lesson for everybody.
I agree. Good job,
Really
Billy.
soapbox.
And thanks to John Panagot for hooking that up for us.
Oh,
Also.
Johnny P.
My favorite thing is I had texted John, right? And he texted Bob and he just put RLP. So
What
it
is it?
makes me Robert
Oh,
LaPenta, right?
RLP.
So
Yeah.
to me, it's funny. That's why what he calls him, right? RLP. So now I
Yeah.
want to call him that instead of Bob. I want to be like RLP.
I think you
like,
could do that. Now that he's
close.
been a guest on our show, I think you could call him Bobby if you want.
I like it. I like
Yeah.
he's got great energy. He's like very like spry, excited. I love it.
He's like, he reminds me of when I was a kid of my grandpa.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a guy who just like take you into the paddock and wants to hold your hand and be next to you and go see his horse and that kind of thing, and I think he's got a lot of pride. I think he's got a lot of pride in his horses and what he's been able to do and what he's been able to accomplish. And he should. I mean, kind of made me sad when he said about the Kentucky Derby, because I still haven't been there. Neither of you. So I don't know what
In the first 15 years of owning a horse, I've been there only 10
I've been there
times.
16 times in 15 years.
I love
Pretty
it.
funny.
I love it.
All right. What else do we
all
have to cover today?
That was super great. So just like what we normally do at the beginning, Billy,
Yeah.
like kind of a look back. I've got some 3 things of note. Have we done
Oh.
that in a while?
No, we haven't. What do we
Okay.
have?
So the first thing I want to bring up is that Romantic Warrior. You guys know
Saw that.
Romantic Warrior, right? Yeah, he
Yeah.
ended up having to have surgery. And so, according to a statement from the Hong Kong Jockey Club, the procedure followed a computerized tomography examination and an MRI of his forelimbs as part of a proactive health screening process in accordance with the club's systematic procedure for ensuring the welfare of our horses. So he had no clinical signs of lameness or anything else. They just do like kind of regularized MRIs, right? And so when they saw that, the management options that were discussed by the club's veterinarian, as well as Romantic Warrior's owner and trainer, they decided to go ahead and put a single screw into his left foreleg. I don't know where. I don't know if that is.
Maybe we need to bring on Ryan Carpenter again.
Maybe. Well, it doesn't say where because it just says foreleg. So that could be, he could have like a crack in a shin. He could have something in an ankle. I mean, we don't know. I did think this was interesting though. Reading about it, they actually did it standing sedation and local anesthesia.
Wow.
So when we do a major surgery or put a screw in a shin or something, we do dorsal incumbency where they're laid back, and we do general anesthesia where they're completely knocked out.
Yeah.
So that's crazy to me that they did it separate. So maybe we should have Carpenter on. Let's just call him. Just call him right now.
Just blind call.
Just blind call him.
No, he's probably in surgery right now. He won't pick up.
Think
And it'll
so?
just embarrass. It'll just
All
embarrass him. Yeah.
Well, we should find out. I could put it on hold. We could pause it right now and see if he'll answer. All right, we'll find out from him because I thought that was very intriguing. So,
That is interesting. But I'm glad he's going to be okay.
Yeah, so it was successful. He is now back with his trainer, and the Hong Kong Jockey Club detected a potential change in joints during routine screening after coming back from his two Middle East
preventative
races.
stuff.
Yep. So I'm interested to see what they're going to do with him next, right? I mean, he has to have.
I don't know what. I mean, he's going to be okay, and then they're going to decide whether to race him or breed him. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, so look at like if you would normally have something like a chip that's taken out, that's 3 months off, a screw. I mean, still a couple months off, but like, do we bring him back? Is he going to be in time for Cox Plate, Breeders' Cup, anything like that?
I don't know. I wish I was at that, but I'm
not. Okay, so that was the first thing of note.
Yeah.
My second thing of note is that in a show of unity and purpose, because we are all about aftercare on this show, a group of former Todd Pletcher assistant trainers have just pledged their earnings from the Belmont Stakes Racing Festival, or a percentage of the earnings, I should say, to the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation, TRF. So Michael McCarthy, George Weaver, Jonathan Thomas, Whit Beckman, and Amelia Green have all decided collectively to do that as a benefit for
Very cool.
racehorses, which I thought was
I just
very
saw
cool.
that your guy Dave Portnoy gave a horse to Amelia Green. Did you see that?
Oh, no, I didn't. Did he?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, isn't that nice of him?
yeah.
Did he say anything else?
I don't.
Did he say he wanted to come on our show? Did he say he
No,
just liked Amelia Green?
I did not. I just read it. I don't
Oh,
have
okay.
any. We should call Bradley.
Okay, my third thing of note is that Breeders' Cup announced their next couple of sites. So we know it's in Del Mar this year.
Are you staying at
They are
my
gonna
house
be
next year?
huh?
Are you staying at my house next year with Keeneland?
Maybe. Maybe. Yes, yes, if I get to go, yes. So next year, it's gonna be in Keeneland,
Yep.
and then for 2027, it will be in Belmont, which is still not built yet.
That's so cool. I
I
think
mean,
it's
it's
fun. I think
cool,
it's
like,
good. I mean, I
it's
hate.
fine, but
Listen, there's going to be positives and negatives no matter what you do, right? And it's been in Southern California for several years in a row now. I'm not counting, but the one thing you can count on in Southern California is the weather. And I think that, God forbid we
did
go
you
to
go to the
Keeneland.
last Belmont Breeders' Cup?
No, but I was at the Breeders' Cup. I was at the Breeders' Cup in Belmont in 2005, and it was the coldest day I've
Yes,
ever
that
experienced in my
that
life.
I have never been as cold as I was at that, and I have
It
been at
was,
Keeneland when it snows.
yeah, it was
Nothing was as
freezing.
cold as Belmont.
And the cold is not that bad. I don't mind the
Wind.
cold as much as the rain and the sloppy tracks and the off turf and that kind of stuff. That's the scary part, because you want to try to be consistent. And I like the Breeders' Cups when they are, hey, you know what you're going to get. You're going
Mhm.
to be fast and firm. And
Interesting, we'll be back to one-turn miles there also, but for
yeah,
both
but I
the
do
dirt and the turf.
listen, I think everybody deserves a chance. And I love the Breeders' Cup at Keeneland. I have to figure out where to sit
Mhm.
because the suites don't have the greatest view. So that's the only thing I'm
Mhm.
thinking about right now. And then I can't wait to go see what Belmont's going to
Yeah, I'm
be
really
awesome.
happy that we're supporting Belmont because they spent a ton of money to update their facility.
Of
It's
course.
just weather-wise,
Yeah, it's
I'm
could be
definitely not
snowy.
packing my spring dresses
No, you will be in a turtleneck.
and pantyhose. Maybe just a
And
pantsuit. Maybe a pantsuit is what I'm gonna
maybe a
wear.
pantsuit. Maybe a pantsuit. Maybe one of those fancy hats that goes over your ears like that. Like
Oh, yeah. Like
one
a
of those
Russian hat,
cool.
like the
Yes.
fur ones? That would be
Yes.
maybe we could all wear, like, the fur hats. Okay.
I say we do it.
Um,
Maybe we should do that at
also,
Del Mar.
they used to do that at Del Mar?
No, I
Wear a
said we
fur hat?
should.
Oh,
Maybe this year we just do it at Del Mar just for fun.
to sweat? That's all we're gonna do is sweat if we do that. Also, we had some really great racing this weekend, namely at Santa Anita. So
Did you
we
win a
had
stake race?
we won a stakes race, yeah,
Yeah,
on Cow Cup Day.
that was
We
amazing.
did. Yes, thank you. Santa Barbarian, $89 winner.
$89 winner. Unbelievable.
$89 winner. We also had the grade 1 Gamely, which went to Safi Joseph and
Your
Be
best.
Your Best.
Yep.
And I
Mike
don't
Ryan
want you to
owns
yell at me, so hold on, I gotta see who owns that filly
Mike
because they did
Ryan.
not Mike Ryan owns her? Okay.
Yeah.
And then,
But it's a
we
different
also
Mike Ryan. It's not the Mike Ryan, the Bloodstock agent Mike Ryan. I think there's two Michael Ryans.
I believe there are 2 Michael Ryans.
Yeah.
I don't know, Zoe went and got in the winner's circle picture, she seemed to know who it was.
Of course she
And then
did.
Safi also won the Hollywood Gold Cup for Daniel Alonso with Skippy Longstocking.
Yep. What a consistent
And
horse he is.
right? I
Yep.
mean,
Such a cool horse.
crazy. And
And then
then the
King of
Shoemaker
Gosford.
Mile, King of
Yeah.
Gosford, he was great. I got to give huge credit to Cabo Spirit because I thought he ran an absolute banger there. He finished third.
He did.
But for a horse that likes to be on the lead, and then Goliad was out there, he ran a really great race for Georgie.
Yeah. Netwig and company with the win with
Mhm.
King of Gosford for our boy Phil D'Amato. Hopefully he's getting hot now. Thank God.
He's been hot. He's been hot since this meet turned.
Yeah. With
I
the
know
turn
the last meet he got down to like a shocking like 14% or
I
something,
think it
but
might have
now
been
he's
less.
back up to like 30.
Yeah. Good.
He's fine. He's
About
good.
time.
He's rolling you guys into Del Mar.
All right.
Coming up this weekend at Santa Anita, let me take a gander and see what we got going on.
And he doesn't even sponsor us anymore. I don't even know why we talk about their races.
We don't?
No.
Are you sure?
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, have you been paid?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then let's talk about Santa Anita.
Let's see. I don't know if there's anything exciting going on this weekend. The Farriers
Well,
package, fan experience,
2 more
coast to
weeks
coast.
before we go to Los Al for 2 weeks, and then I mean Del Mar is suspiciously close, Michelle.
It is what, a month and 2 weeks away, 6 weeks away.
Are you
It's
doing
gonna come
breakfast
very
at Del
fast.
Mar this year?
Am I what?
Doing breakfast at Del Mar or anything like that? Those things that you do? Daybreak at Del Mar? Are we doing the show again? What was that show we used to do? Where
No,
we
I don't
make
think
picks?
that was like a COVID thing and it kind of carried over. Beach
Oh,
Boss.
Beach
But
Boss.
we
When I
didn't
was
do
at
it
Beach Boss,
last
I
year.
won that year. That was so good.
Yeah,
That
but
was
we didn't.
that was when Gold Phoenix got his name.
Oh, yes.
So here's my question for you, Michelle. Will Gold Phoenix win his 4th straight Del Mar handicap?
Yes.
All right, on
Also,
that note,
I
yeah.
love that I saw Hong Kong Harry was retired.
Yes.
And
Yes.
Julie Witt, who's the assistant to Phil D'Amato, got him. And she
Big
was,
announcement coming up next week. The LRF Cares Charity Golf Tournament, which will take
Ooh.
place on August 25th, Monday, August 25th at Lavalle Coastal Club.
I'll
You'll
be
start
driving the
seeing.
beer cart.
You can, yes, and you can sign up for yourself for a foursome. We're looking for sponsors. It's going to be really cool. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I'll keep bringing it up on the show.
Excellent. That's all I have
All right.
for you. That's all
Thanks,
there is
Bob
for it
LaPenta.
anymore.
Thanks, Michelle. You Hanson. We'll see you guys next week.